So are you thinking about moving to this wonderful city of New Braunfels, Texas? And I'm not just talking about because of the rivers, the tubing, Schlitterbahn, or the beer either. New Braunfels is no longer a hidden gem. The secret is out and everybody seems like they're moving here, or at least wanting to move here. Today we're going to go over the ultimate guide to moving to New Braunfels, Texas. We're going to talk about everything from the schools, some of the negatives about what you need to know whenever you do move here. We're going to go through a map tour of the entire city so you know what it's like to get around, where some of the different top locations are, some of the best restaurants, schools, where some of the best neighborhoods are at, and of course we're going to talk about real estate prices and also talk about some of those neighborhood specifics on those prices. And then lastly, we're going to talk about some of the major things that are coming to New Braunfels in the near future. Now, first and foremost, though, I want to remind you guys, if you have any questions at all about moving to New Braunfels, please do not hesitate to reach out. I am an open book, and I am here specifically to help you with your move here to New Braunfels or to the San Antonio area. I've literally lived here my entire life, so I know this place like the back of my hand, and I want to make sure that you are completely comfortable whenever you do make your decision to move to this awesome city and this awesome area. I've helped tons of people just like you to move to this area, move to San Antonio, so please do not hesitate to reach out. Call me, text me, email me anytime, day or night, whether you're moving here in 2 days, 2 years, I don't care at all, guys. I'm here to help you with this move. Now let's get into it. First thing we're going to talk about is the schools. So you're probably wondering exactly how we get these ratings from these schools. We look at txschools.gov. It is the only school resource that I trust personally. Greatschools.net, I think is what it is okay. It has decent ratings, but it is all very biased. txschools.gov is a numbers-based system from the state that shows the exact ratings from these schools. Now, New Braunfels ISD and Comal ISD are both school districts in New Braunfels. New Braunfels ISD is solely in New Braunfels, go figure. Comal ISD is a lot bigger. New Braunfels ISD is rated an 86 out of 100, where Comal ISD is rated a 93 out of 100. But that also takes into account some of those schools up in Bulverde, Garden Ridge, and Canyon Lake. So we have to also consider that and look at just the New Braunfels schools for Comal ISD. When you're looking at these ratings, New Braunfels ISD, like I said, 86 out of 100, compares pretty evenly with the New Braunfels schools in Comal ISD. Comal ISD within New Braunfels is Canyon High School and all of its feeder schools, whereas New Braunfels ISD, of course, is New Braunfels High School and its others. We're going to be adding some new high schools in the very near future for these bigger developments that are coming to New Braunfels. So there's going to be more than just the 2 high schools in the very near future, but that's for another day. When you're looking at the ratings overall between New Braunfels ISD and Comal ISD schools in New Braunfels, they're very, very similar. Lots of A-rated schools, lots of high B-rated schools, and a very few C-rated schools. So very high-rated district overall. One of the best things about having these 2 competing schools within the same city is a great cross-town rivalry. Canyon High School and New Braunfels High School has always had a good rivalry between sports, between wanting to be the highest-rated school, everybody saying that one school is better than the other, all those different types of things. So it makes for a great, fun Texas atmosphere whenever you're looking at it for a great, New Braunfels rivalry between the 2 schools. Now, looking at some of these negatives that you need to know, there are several major ones. The big one for me is the traffic. 46 and 35 is a nightmare, really. And it is one of the few reasons that I absolutely do not like driving into New Braunfels. I love going into New Braunfels for all the great things that it has, but hitting that traffic is a nightmare, especially at rush hour. There is a lot of things that are going to be coming, and we'll talk about that in the later section where we're talking about some of the developments coming to New Braunfels that may fix this down the road. But for now, this is a big pain point. Second one, of course, is tourist. Tourism industry in New Braunfels is its top industry by a long shot. There is over 3 million people a year that come to New Braunfels as tourists. I mean, they come to Schlitterbahn, they come to Tube, they come to Green, they come to go downtown, they come to just spend the day, spend the week in New Braunfels and explore this amazing German town. Wurstfest is also a big one that brings a ton of people to the city. Another really big headache for a lot of the residents is NBU, New Braunfels Utilities. So the main utility provider for the entire city of New Braunfels last summer had a big issue whenever a ton of these residents just all of a sudden got electric bills and utility bills that were over $700 for their small houses. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. One of the reasons that they came out and said that this happened is because of this impact fee they decided to throw onto everybody's bill. This was due to the overabundance of expenses that they had in the winter storm of 2021 over a year before this. And they didn't really ever give any good, straightforward reasons as to why this all of a sudden came into play and was a big issue and came in last summer. It gave a lot of people a lot of heartache. There was tons of meetings, tons of news articles about it. And then on top of that, they decided that right after that, they were going to announce these rate increases that was going to pay for all these capital improvements. So not only were they charging more for their utilities at the time, they were going to increase the bills as well. And I believe those impact fees were not, long-term deals. They just kind of happened really quickly. I don't know if everybody's still having them currently. I haven't heard anything about it if they have been. So if you do live in New Braunfels currently and you are getting those impact fees still, mention that down there in the comments and let us know. But the increases that they are going to be seeing starting in September of 2022, so they've already started seeing them now, is a 10% increase in electric bill, in your electric bill rate, a 8% increase in your water usage rate, and then a 13% increase in your wastewater rate. And of course, the biggest negative of all is the growth of New Braunfels. It is no secret, like I mentioned, that New Braunfels is growing like crazy. It was up to a few years ago, it was up to number 2 in the entire country for the fastest growing cities in all of the nation, in the entire United States. As of just this last year in 2022, it was up to number 4. So it's still right there at the top 5 for the fastest growing cities in the entire country. And of course, that's going to affect all these other things. It's going to affect traffic. It's going to affect, tourists coming into town because there's more people talking about New Braunfels. And then of course, it's going to affect your utilities because they're going to have to pay for those capital improvements. There's no other way around it. And somebody has to pay for them. Money has to come from somewhere. All right, now let's get into this map tour real quick. I'm going to kind of show you guys literally everything about New Braunfels. I'm going to show you some of the major areas, some of the major neighborhood locations, where Green, where Schlitterbahn is, where Landa Park is, where downtown is, all that, so that whenever you're looking at the map of New Braunfels, you have a good idea of where everything is, especially whenever you're looking for your home here. You can go in and kind of pick out exactly where you want to be in closest proximity to. All right, so here we have the entire San Antonio area. So New Braunfels is up here on this northeast corner right off of 35. So we're going to talk about a few specific little areas here in New Braunfels. So looking at the city as a whole, the downtown area is right here. You can see Landa Park. Landa Park's right by downtown. So this is kind of the inner city area. South side of New Braunfels is going to be this corner here, basically west of 46 and south of 35. Creekside is going to be up here on the opposite side of 46, still south of 35. Creekside is going to be right here. So this is Resolute Hospital, and of course you have all the shopping and everything that's right here in Creekside. So that's going to be Creekside, and then we're going to call this just kind of the north side, northeast corner up in this way. This is kind of where Green is right here. And then up here on the northwest corner is kind of where you go out to go into Bulverde, Spring Branch, Bernie, big HEB here, a couple good neighborhoods here. So this is the northwest corner is what we're going to call it. All right, so like I mentioned, getting into Green, Green is right here on this corner. So you're looking right here, Green is right on the river. You come in, you have all these shops right here in Green. A bunch of little neighborhoods kind of scattered around all this area, and then you have a couple more that are going in. New ones over here, Greenfield, for instance, is a good one. But this is where the majority of the homes are going to be, right in Green. So if you're living in Green, you're literally within walking distance to Green. It is an outstanding spot, high price spot, but a really good spot. Now, if you are looking at Creekside, again, let's go over to Creekside. So all the shopping and everything is right here in Creekside. So you have Target, TJ Maxx, Dick's Sporting Goods, Best Buy, all those. This is where the Big Buc-ee's is at here. And then going south, this is where a lot of development is. So a lot of this area here is now neighborhoods. Basically, this whole area right in here, even going out down 1101, is all neighborhoods out this direction now. So this is a good spot for that. Now looking over at the south side, you have the rivers that kind of run through here. So this is Lake Dunlap. This is the major lake that's actually in New Braunfels. You do have a couple different other lakes kind of further south heading towards Seguin. So you have Lake McQueenie, and you also have Lake Placid, which is down here. So getting into, let's focus in back here. So we're looking in south side. So this is where a large chunk of the more affordable housing is in New Braunfels. Vast majority of the $200,000 to $300,000 homes is going to be in this section right here. A lot of cookie cutter homes, but again, you're in New Braunfels. It's worth it in my opinion. Now looking at downtown, Schlitterbahn, obviously right here, Schlitterbahn Water Park, the highest ranked, most prominent, one of the most prominent water parks in the entire world, really. Landa Park is the best park in New Braunfels by far. I mean, you can just see how huge it is. It's right here. You got rivers, Comal River runs right through here, Guadalupe River right here. This is where the tube shoots at, down here close to Landa Park and Schlitterbahn. And then downtown is going to be right here. So Muck Fuss, another good spot, Weisach. This is downtown section right here at the roundabout. This is your downtown area, this whole area in yellow. So that's kind of where you're looking at for your downtown. Lots of houses in here, older homes all up in this area. And then going out northwest section, you got Oak Run, and this is a big section where Veramendi is. So Veramendi is a huge neighborhood. Let's see if it comes up on the map. Not going to show up on the map, but Veramendi right here. So Veramendi is a massive neighborhood that we're going to talk about in a little bit, right next to Oak Run. Oakwood Baptist Church is right here. You got a big HEB right here. There's another HEB as well here, and then also a massive HEB Plus over here across from Creekside and the Buc-ee's. So you have all of that to kind of look at whenever you're looking at all of this stuff. And then also another couple areas that we're going to look at too. You have Canyon Lake just north. If you ever want to go out and get on the lake, take the jet skis out there. It's a great spot for that as well. San Marcos is a really close drive. You want to go to the malls over here. If you have kids in Texas State that want to go to school, that's a good spot for them. You can live in New Braunfels. They can commute into school there. And then a couple of the other big neighborhoods. Vintage Oaks is kind of the major one right here. Vintage Oaks is where you're at. Meyer Ranch is another big one over here. Another good neighborhood we're going to talk about too. So that kind of gives you a kind of rundown of everything as far as what you're looking at with New Braunfels. And like I mentioned before, New Braunfels is in a prime location for commuting. A lot of people live in New Braunfels and will commute into San Antonio or into Austin. I mean, it's right in the middle. I mean, Austin's going to be a little bit further drive, but especially if you're working on the south side of Austin, it's a really good spot. So living in New Braunfels, great location, lots to do. So now let's kind of go into some of these real estate prices. So we talked about some of the more affordable areas being like the south side and that Creekside area. South side, you're going to be looking at a median price of right around that $350,000 range. A lot of homes that have sold in that area. Same thing for over in Creekside. Creekside's just slightly higher at like $355,000. So those are going to be your most affordable housing areas by a long shot, just because that's kind of where all the big neighborhoods are getting put into, and a lot of developments going. So you have a lot smaller homes, a lot of those cookie cutter homes, but still great homes, just great spot, being in New Braunfels. Now, if you're looking up on the north side, kind of go in that corner with green, going out towards Austin, that northeast section, that's going to be a median price point of about $410,000, and that is not including green. So, well, I take that back. So that is including green. The main thing with green is that green is kind of increasing that price. That northeast going out towards Austin is going to be similar in price point to that Creekside, Southside area. Green itself, though, is right at about $550,000 for the median price. So a lot higher price. If you want to be in green, smaller homes, higher price. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be a lot higher price per square foot there. That northwest corner, kind of where Oak Run is, Veramendi, and then going out towards Vintage Oaks and Meyer Ranch, you're going to be at a whopping $636,000 for your median price point. It's a really high priced area because there's a lot of high priced homes out in that area. And then looking at downtown and kind of the inner city New Braunfels area, you're going to be looking at a median price of $565,000. So even though these prices are a little bit higher, especially in some of these northern areas, kind of in town and then out northwest especially, there are homes in those areas if you're looking for a smaller home that can get you in that $300,000 price range. So don't be discouraged thinking that you have to have $500,000 to buy in New Braunfels. It's not the case at all, especially in the the nicer areas up in that northwest and in town. If you're willing to get a little bit higher or have a smaller house, those are great spots to look at as well. Now again, like I mentioned, some of the major neighborhoods down on the south side and the Creekside area that are under $450,000, that's where the vast majority of the homes are sold in New Braunfels for under that price. You're looking at, of course, the Creekside neighborhoods. There's several different ones for that. There's Voss Farms, there's Myers Landing, Highland Grove, Spring Valley, just to name a few. Like I said, there's quite a bit in that area. For the neighborhoods that are over $450,000, of course, you have Green, Meyer Ranch that I mentioned, Veramendi. Both Meyer Ranch and Veramendi are kind of similar in as far as the type of homes that they provide. Veramendi is a huge community that has a ton of amenities, that has a lot of really nice homes getting built in it, as well as some more affordable homes. And then you get into the extremely high-end communities, the homes that are pushing $700,000-800,000 and above, even over $1 million to $2 million. You have Vintage Oaks, Copper Ridge, River Chase, some really high acreage communities, 1 acre plus communities. Some of those neighborhoods downtown are also going to be a lot higher priced, like the ones right near Lambda Park, and then you have Havenwood at Hunter's Crossing, Oak Run, and then of course you cannot forget the awesome opportunity that New Braunfels has that many areas of San Antonio don't, and that is waterfront properties on Lake Dunlap and Lake McQueeney. A lot of people, getting into Lake McQueeney, you're not going to be in New Braunfels schools, but Lake Dunlap you will be. A lot of people will buy homes there, their second homes. Lake McQueeney especially is a very, very large second home community. A lot of people have homes there that live in Houston, that live in Dallas, live all over the country, and they come in for the summer to be on Lake McQueeney and do the wakeboarding and skiing thing on the water itself over at the ski lodge. So it's a very, very big community for that kind of stuff, but you're also really close to New Braunfels, which is a great plus. Now let's talk about a couple of these new developments that are coming. So Mayfair is by far and away the most hyped up new development that is coming to New Braunfels. It is 1,900 acres. It just broke ground in April of last year, in April of 2022. It is going to have over 6,000 residential units as far as residential homes, from single family homes, duplexes, townhouses. It's going to have some condos, I believe, multifamily apartments. It's going to have 4 new schools, a new fire department. It's going to have, I think, 70 acres of commercial space, I believe, 330 acres of parks, 35 miles of trails, a clubhouse, multiple pools. I mean, everything that you could possibly think of in a community this is going to have. It's going to be huge. It's going to be just on the opposite side of Creekside. It's going to be on that north end, going out towards Austin of Creekside, kind of overlapping 35 actually, so it's going to be on both sides of 35, and it's going to be a long project. They're expecting to complete it in 2037, so over 15-year project on this one. Another huge development, which is very, very important to the New Braunfels community with its growth, is the 46 expansion between I-35 and I-10 in Seguin. This is going to be huge. So they're going to be adding flyover lanes to get from 46 to get on to 35. They're going to be widening 46 pretty much the entire way from 35 to I-10, which is a ways, trust me. They're going to be adding overpasses. They're going to be adding feeder roads over there in Seguin. It's going to be 2 lanes, or I think 4-lane highway and then 2-lane feeder roads in that Guadalupe County area closer to Seguin. Overpasses almost the whole way once you get into Comal County. So it is going to be a massive, massive expansion. It's going to take a while, probably a good 10 years to complete this project, but it is well worth it and well needed with all of the new construction that is coming to New Braunfels, especially that area. That area between Seguin and New Braunfels is huge. If you're looking at new homes and you want to get some more affordable homes and maybe schools aren't that big of a deal for you, look in Seguin. That northern area of Seguin is having a lot of these same types of new builds, new developments coming in with prices a lot more affordable than the ones that are in New Braunfels. But again, you're just a 10-minute drive to get into New Braunfels if you really needed that. And on top of all that, kind of feeding off of that last point, there are continuous developments of new home developments in New Braunfels. I mean, it seems like every time I drive up to New Braunfels, there's a new one that I see that I didn't see the day before. It's just exploding. I mean, literally exploding. Now, with all this new construction taking place in New Braunfels, make sure that you are checking out this video right here where I explain why I will only personally buy new homes in the rest of my life. So be sure that keep in mind too that it is extremely important to use a realtor like myself through new construction purchases, and it's just the way you got to do it. It's lots of things that can go wrong. See you in the next video.